Hello, everyone, and welcome back to D&D&D&D&D campaign number 2 of Black Ink and Blue Blood. When we last left off, the party marched to avoid pursuit from the Citadel of Bullhammer. After the party regrouped, the Necromancer of the Scar Concord escaping with his freedom into the desert night. Retreating throughout the burning days and freezing nights of the desert, the party was briefly halted in their escape by a wandering pack of scavenging gnolls, who stood between them and the Western Alliance encampment. Deciding to confront them head-on rather than risk a pincer, the party fought their way cleanly through the hyena pack, resupplied themselves, and has finally managed to reach Toradana, the capital of the Kingdom of Barbarous. Reaching the Western Alliance encampment, positioned a little ways out of the city, hidden in the forest of surrounding pink and green trees, the party has regrouped with the Western Alliance, currently, at least on the war front, composed of the Queen Sundragon, Agnes de Baume, and Queen Autumnfall. However, all is not well on the war front. The troop count is a lot lower than the Western Alliance was hoping for, so they will be relying on the party potentially pulling another magic trick to win them the day. As while you don't know how outnumbered you are, you can assume it's fairly decently. And to make matters worse, the Minlus Kanat, who you have now made 2 different deals with. It turns out the Minlusian Khan is the Queen Sundragon's absent mother, and she warns Lucian and the others by extension that the Minlusians are not to be trusted. They will exploit you before they abandon you. After all, the Tebadrins took a lot from them. But whether the Minlusians make good allies or not, or the Western Alliance for that matter, remains to be seen. You have all been allowed shelter in the wartime encampment. From what you guys said, you don't have anything you wish to do over the long rest, but before I finalize it, is there anything you wish to do?
I think, weren't we about to take a long rest?
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like, is there anything you want to do over the long rest?
No, but I'm gonna go ahead and prepare spells for tomorrow.
Of course, yeah. If there's nothing else... As you all settle into the encampment, in trees, at the base of trees, or heaven forbid, in tents.
Hey, I'm sleeping with my girl. I'm fine.
Yeah. You all get a long rest. Given your exhausting day, especially Caleb, given your already fairly lately sleep schedule, by the time you all awaken, it's about mid-afternoon. And the sun is well into the sky, casting sharp shadows along the encampment floor. As you all awaken, you can see that, to their credit, the Sundragons and the Tebadrins are actually blending together fairly well. The Sundragons offering supplies and drink to the Tebadrins, and the Tebadrins, Caleb, at a glance, seem to be enrapturing the barbarians with tales of the battles they fought to get here. Zephyr, as you presumably scuttle down from your tree, and Lucian, you stretch and croon awake in the command tent. It is a new day. What would you all like to do?
I guess I'll see. I'll ask Aggie. Has Caleb arrived yet?
Huh? Oh, yeah. We saw him last night. Remember?
Sorry, it was a really, really long walk here.
That's fine. You can see her eyes are somewhat bloodshot and her hair is messy. She doesn't look like she slept very well.
I'm gonna look her over. Does she look okay? Other than sleep deprived?
Roll insight.
Insight. Hang on. D&D Beyond. Let's be kind, shall we, today? I really should get my dice out. Okay. Insight. I think I have proficiency with insight. I do. But I do have a +2. That's good. Okay, that is 17 plus 8.
18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 25. All right, 25.
Calculator.
Yeah, calculate. Calculate!
Or a calculator.
Just a second, just finalizing her roll. She's hiding it well, but you can definitely tell that while yes, she is sleep deprived, that is still very much the case. She also seems just kind of wrapped up in her own business. You can tell that the reveal that you formed an alliance with her absent mother really shook her up.
Yeah. I'll just put my hand on her shoulder. Didn't know. I'm sorry.
It's not your fault. It's just, why is she showing up now? She can't be bothered to be there for nearly 20 years, and she shows up now of all times.
I actually wondered that myself. She was in the hut where we were hiding somebody, and I took shelter there to spy on my brother, and she just was there.
Yeah, she does that. Tends to disappear and reappear whenever it suits her.
She kind of frowns at that. My mom was gone a lot too.
With Sophist gone, I don't have anyone left. I just can't deal with her while I'm dealing with all of this too. She runs a hand through her hair and finally, after a moment, sighs and kind of shakes her head to collect herself. I should see how the others are doing.
I'm gonna do that thing where you like put some hair behind her ear and just kind of smile at her. You know,
She kind of shrinks away from you when you touch her.
I mean, if it means anything, you do have me. I know I'm not too much, but
Well, if this goes well, maybe you're just what I need right now.
what can I do for you today?
Let's find out. I hear Autumn Fall's working on a plan, and sounds like your buddies have something up their sleeves too.
Lucian smiles, stretches out of bed. Well, do we have any coffee?
What?
She always forgets that no one knows what that is.
Never mind. Let's get this over with. Dave's not gonna get any younger.
Yeah, tell me about it. Caleb, Zephyr, what, if anything, are you doing? All right. As the Sun Dragons and Tebadrins carouse with each other, you still see no sign of the troops Autumnfall brought, if any. But you do see a few Autumnfall tents scattered about. Eventually, the queen herself returns. Caleb, you notice she's actually, Zephyr, you of course knows this too. She's coming in from the forest as if she had been out of the camp for a while whenever she came back. But she re-enters from the forest, kind of brushing a few twigs and leaves off of her dress, and kind of gives you a nod, Caleb. Zephyr, are you coming down from the tree?
Yeah.
Yeah, she will give the both of you a nod and gesture to the command tent. It might not have had as much time as it'll need to air out, but if you're ready, I'll be waiting for you in the command tent. I'd be interested to hear your input on our situation, and from the sounds of it, we have a lot of information to swap.
Wait, sorry, who were they talking to?
You and Zephyr.
Okay. Very well then.
Do the two of you follow to the command tent, or do you have something else you wish to do first?
I guess Caleb will follow.
Alright, Zeph?
Yeah, I'll follow.
Okay. The two of you follow behind Queen Autumnfall as Lucian, you follow behind Queen Sundragon. And Sundragon, Caleb, whenever you see this, of course, throws open the flaps of the command tent and kind of stares dumbfounded at Queen Autumnfall for a second, who just crosses her arms and taps her foot. And eventually Sundragon kind of gives her a weak smile. Sorry. Lost track of time? Yeah. Move. Sundragon kind of does that, like, hands together, like, sorry, as she gets out of the queen's way. And the queen steps through the flaps.
Good morning, Queen Autumnfall. How are you?
As well as I can be, given the circumstances. And the impromptu garden meditation actually proved well for my state of mind. Perhaps I simply needed to clear my sinuses of the stench of the troops. Ah, come on, they ain't that bad. You all reek of sweat, blood, and ale. Okay, you got me there.
I mean, so do I, but I mean, there is a bath here, right?
The river has been sufficing for now.
Moving does like a kind of, can I do like a sneaky side-eye?
Sure.
Are we in the tent by now?
Yeah, like you guys saw all that going down. Basically, the two of them ran into each other, and you're now free to enter the tent.
Okay. I was just checking to make sure. I was reading something real quick that I needed to look at.
No worries.
Hey, Caleb, it's good to see you.
And you as well.
So, at this point, the queen is putting together a few scrolls, some maps and parchment and notes, but she does look to you, Zephyr, kind of staring at you for a moment before. So, this is the heir apparent to the Tevadran throne.
What?
Well, I think
should
what
I
they
say it
mean is,
slower?
I think what they mean is, if I was to die, you would technically be the next one.
That is exactly what that means, yes.
Yeah, probably not.
Yeah, he's not the type.
They're just saying you would potentially be if you had wanted it.
If you do not wish for the respective titles, I will happily revoke the honors. I'm simply trying to be courteous given our circumstances. Given our situation, I'm not exactly in a position to be picky about my allies.
If I understand the situation right, most of our allies have refused to show up to this battle, and we are probably outnumbered and they have defensive walls, correct?
Outnumbered is putting it mildly. She slides one of the maps towards you with some labels written on it.
I'll take a look too.
Best as we can estimate, their conscripts alone number in the thousands, their regulars in the hundreds, and that's to say nothing of any generals, officers, or soldiers of higher rank. Our soldiers are, outside of mine, untrained, undisciplined, and will likely break if the battle goes poorly. We only get one shot at this before what little of the Western Alliance we've assembled completely breaks apart.
I'm going to break out the map, the Concord map that I made, from what we know of where the Concord is.
Yeah, like where yeah.
That way we can like compare notes. And I'll lay it out for her to see. These are the confirmed people that we know are in with the Concord. The inner circle being things like Yogur and Wicket and
Wicket.
Well,
She's
I mean,
involved.
my brother
Oh.
is in the inner circle, as it were.
Well, that is far less concerning.
Well, if they have the advantage in numbers and experience, we must find more advantages in other fields.
I'm inclined to agree. I've narrowed down a few weak spots, but until you arrived, we didn't have the resources to strike at them properly. But I'll leave it to your judgment what you think would be the best course of action.
Well, before we strike, didn't you guys want me to check in with Shadow Lily and Blackthorn?
As I said, you can if you wish, but I doubt the mongrels will be coming to our aid.
I can.
Uh, if we can find ways in, maybe we could find some people who are less than satisfied with current management.
I mean, sure, we'll find those.
From what I'm understanding, Barbaros's rule is unfortunate for those of certain inclinations.
Quite. He takes a lot of his methods from his homeland in Perugia. As such, the city is strictly hierarchical, divided by race and class. If you can appease the lower ranks, it's possible they may be willing to rise up. They do have the numbers. But unfortunately, you'll need to offer them something that outweighs the intimidation of being within the barbarous walls.
I mean, other
We
than
have to convince them they can actually win.
She gives you a nod, and Sundragon kind of smiles, and I'd say cracking a few skulls ought to send a message.
not so far as I'm thinking more of, you know, the possibility. I have, yeah.
You're cutting out.
Yeah,
Oh.
you're a little spotty.
Hello.
Better.
Hello?
There we go. I don't know what that was about. Anyway, where was I?
You had an idea to.
Yes, I have an idea of sorts that I think that we should talk about. Now that I'm here, and most of the Alliance is here.
All the members that will come.
Yeah. We are missing two.
Unfortunately, we have to convince our own alliance that they can win.
That's what I'm going on. What if we were to promise them some kind of freedom? Because that's what everybody, right? Them to live
You
as
mean
they
the
are.
people in the city?
Yes.
Well, that would be the promise, but promises are useless if they don't think they can win. Or that we will deliver on it.
Well, if
You're still
we can-
spotty, sorry.
sorry, I'm so
While you get that sorted,
there we
Caleb?
go. No, I took myself off of the internet. If we can give them something to fight for, we can gather the numbers. That's what I'm trying to say. If we can put this area,
I'm just saying it's a twofold. We must offer them a good deal, but also a deal that they think we actually have the power to uphold.
well, that's what I'm saying. Is if we can defeat Barbarous, we can take this area by hold and make it into something new.
Cut the head off the snake, and the rest will just simply follow after it.
Exactly.
Not a bad idea, if you can find him.
I might have a way. I can spy on him if he doesn't have anything that makes it so I can't spy on him. Do you know what I mean?
We've already tried that. The entire city has recently come under magical protection, means unknown. He's been unearthing artifacts from the Scorpius Desert to give himself shields against my magic. As a result, scrying or any sort of magical infiltration is impossible.
I could ask Lucifer. He seemed to be in on him dying, actually.
Yeah, speaking of, you said you were bringing him. Where is he?
Oh, he left for home, which we have to talk about.
So you
Both of
can
the-
ask them.
Both of the queens kind of glance to each other, and Autumnfall, looks similarly kind of unimpressed. So he is beyond you.
I can ask him a message that's not beyond me.
And you think he will tell you the truth of how to sabotage his own organization?
Like I said, he seemed quite keen on him dying, actually.
He is pretty unpopular. Well, if you wish to trust the words of the enemy, then you may, but For now, I'm much more persuaded by your Tibatran companion's arguments.
I could ask somebody else. The enemy of my friend, right? I ask. He's deeper in this world than my brother.
Do we have any plans that don't rely on the goodwill of the people trying to kill us?
Well, we do have about 350 individuals who are very good at infiltration and sneaking about.
That could be useful. There is magical defenses, but as far as we know, they have to have a method of getting people in and out the mundane way.
There's
Sun
always
Dragon
ways
raises an
in and
eyebrow.
out of cities.
It's kind of magical defense.
Sun Dragon begins to lay out a few maps of the city to you and Zephyr Caleb, while Autumnfall looks to
Does
Lucian.
Zephyr see like anything that's like barracks or camps where the soldiers that are defending the city would be? Like when they're sleeping and such?
Roll perception. And in the meantime, while you're rolling that, just keep your roll on the ready. Lucian, Queen Autumnfall kind of looks to you. Expression still kind of flat, and whatever they unearthed in the Scorpius Desert, it's working. All of the troops are wearing masks that make them completely immune to magic. And the walls have been layered with something. We don't know exactly what. But whatever it is, it's making any sort of scrying or even fireballs unable to penetrate.
Like an anti-magic field?
We thought that at first, but anti-magic is magic. That could be disabled.
Yeah.
Whatever this is, I'm not even sure it is magic.
Have you tried searching the desert for these
Oh.
artifacts he's been gathering to see what they are?
Yeah. Would I know what kind of in the ballpark of what they're talking about?
Roll Arcana.
I feel like
Caleb, she looks to you, and we know where he's looking for them. You said you ran into some gnolls on the way here?
we did.
Ran into them and killed them and turned them into a message for another group chasing us.
Nice. Barbaric, but effective. The gnolls are mercenaries, as best as we can gather, working for Barbarous in exchange for food. They have been patrolling the desert in search of artifacts from the Underdark. We've been able to locate one of their dig sites, but until recently we didn't have the forces to clear the camp. But if you've dealt with the bulk of their force yourselves, the camp might be completely open for the taking. If you can find one of these artifacts, it might get us in the right direction of figuring out how to disable whatever it is they're using.
We definitely dealt with a force of gnolls about the same size as our force.
Sun Dragon gives a smile and looks to Autumnfall. That's about as many as we were able to identify. The camp should be pretty much all but empty now. Yes. Taking the dig site is actually an option now.
And the dig site probably has paths into the city as well.
I hadn't considered that, but it is possible.
Well, that's also why I was thinking about bringing in Shadow Lily and her people. You know, if there's somebody maybe small enough could fit through a crack or something, you know?
Sun Dragon and Autumnfall immediately look to Zephyr. The mongrels
Follow
aren't
their
here.
gaze to Zephyr.
The mongrels aren't here, but His Highness is.
You're probably going to have to pay him.
My coffers extend quite deep.
Or, you know, you could just be a nice fucking person.
Kindness does not come naturally to certain creatures, Miss Alefakir. The sooner you learn that, the smoother this war will be.
A girl can hope.
The price is yet to be determined, but as I mentioned, I don't see myself as a royalty, so you don't have to consider me.
Very well. Do you have a name?
Zephyr.
Zephyr. Rather appropriate. given the stories I've heard. Very well, Zephyr. My coffers are bottomless. I can effectively offer you a blank check if you can assist your guerrilla forces in finding a way into the city. If you can find an artifact from the dig site and bring it back to me intact, I can study it and attempt to discern its function and purpose.
Perhaps I can help you on that, my queen, if you would allow me so much.
I'll think about it. Before we go any further,
I'm
Caleb,
going to give can I give Aggie one of those, like, another side-eye to her?
Sun Dragon just kind of waves it off, like, again, like, yeah, you'll get used to her. And, sorry, Caleb, go ahead.
21 on perception.
And Lucy and Arcana?
24, actually.
Okay. Caleb, looking over the map Sun Dragon gives you, as you all formulate a plan, you can see that, to their credit, the Western Alliance has identified already a few potential ways in. They just haven't been able to take advantage of them. You can see that they have clearly marked, that you could just glance at, that there is a sewer system. If they can find an exit that leads out into a water supply, because they would have to have one, that could be a potential way in, albeit gross. You notice Autumnfall put a note that just basically to that plan, hard no. Yeah, Sundragon does have notes that the sewer system connects to a huge canal in the city. If you can find a way in by water, that could be a potential in. You also can see that the Tieshan Express actually cuts into this valley, goes into Toradana directly before circling back out. So, if you could potentially hitchhike on the train and sneak your way in that way, also an option. Although Sundragon has it noted that her numbers and size of troops would make it very hard for a stealth mission for them, especially on a train that's already likely going to be packed with people. But, with your perception, Caleb, you notice a third option. You can see that on the outside of the city, like on the other side of the walls, unprotected, is some farmland. You actually glimpsed it coming towards the war camp. It's like built along the mountains, kind of sloped. And that farmland, while you do see they've noted a few patrols run through it, you do notice that while there is patrols, there is not an active guard unit there, at least that they've identified. And while they have not identified an obvious way in that way, it is potential that a part of the city that is outside the walls and has some troops that are disconnected from the rest could be potentially useful to you.
And what about the thing I asked about?
Whichin?
Where do they have they noted where, like, barracks and other locations where the troops are stationed would be?
Because they have not been able to infiltrate the city, they do not know where the barracks themselves are. However, they do have it noted that most of the troops appear to essentially circulate through that exterior farmland before circling back into the city. And while they have not been able to identify locations, they do have at least a vague grip on numbers. By their rough estimate, again, this is an estimate of theirs, not something that they're 100% certain on, but at their estimate, the enemy's forces in total number in about 3,300 men that they've been able to identify.
Okay. Okay, I'm just gonna look up from the map and be like, I can see that there's still some information we need about the interior, so it may be beneficial to organize. I'm thinking it might be worthwhile to organize my thieves into some infiltration units. People who will be inside the city, causing maybe some trouble here and there, but most importantly, providing us with information about the interior.
It certainly would be useful, but I will warn you, what little we know of Toradana, the city is a maze. It's difficult to navigate. Let us hope your thieves are as confident in alleys as they claim to be.
Can Caleb, how confident would Caleb be in his thieves to navigate the city?
I'll say they're not obviously nearly as good at stealth as you are, and there's a shit ton of them. So there's like basically it's one of those, the more you bring, the more likely it is you're gonna get caught. But I'd say
I wanted
like
to,
they at least have a decent chance.
and
I may
if-
organize them into groups that go in, do something, find what we need, and then they can leave. If they try
If
to
I-
establish themselves outside the city, they might get found out eventually if we take too long.
All right,
If
before they
they-
respond, Luce.
if I go with them, I could memorize the way and draw a map.
That could be useful. And go ahead, Caleb.
Yeah, so basically if we do maybe some, what's the term, hit and run, maybe even try to disrupt the flow of goods that might be coming in and out of the city. Well, as I said, we're going to need every advantage, so if we have thieves causing trouble and food starts to become more scarce, it'll start becoming a problem for them inside. We might not have enough troops to completely surround the city, but again, my thieves are pretty good at hitting caravans.
Let's hope so. If we take too many casualties on these operations, we're going to be going in with even less manpower, and we're already outnumbered easily 5-1 as it is.
Well, we're going to have to take risks. We can't beat them straight up, so we need to do things unorthodox.
Very well. We've already identified a few potential options for infiltrating the city, but perhaps your thieving eye is able to spot things that are beneath me.
I've seen several ways. There's obviously a waterway in the city. There must be some way that's going in and out. The
She gives
farms,
you a smile.
the farms must have some way to get in. And if we raid the farms themselves, it may lead. We might be able to lure small groups of their troops into traps by attacking the farms themselves.
I vote for that plan. Of course you
I was going to suggest if you want to come, you should. I mean, I'm going to need some
Don't.
protection.
She is completely hopeless at stealth. Yeah, I'm kind of inclined to agree on that one. I'm
Well,
more
you
of
and I
a
both.
head cracker than a. She kind of mimes like tying a wire and strangling someone.
I'm not very stealthy either, but I'm gonna have to go. So somebody's gonna have to protect me.
You're probably still better.
So, what are you proposing then, Your Majesty?
Well, my plan is fairly simple. Identify potential opportunities to turn people against Barbarous. Identify where the troops are staying. They have to sleep at some point, and even if a lot of them are on the wall, if we can cut through throats in their bed before we fight them, that will reduce their number for little cost. And then, in the end, we'll put it all together, and my thieves, with any defectors we might be able, will simply, if we do it right, we could simply have them open the gates for us.
All right. I'm willing to try.
I plan, and we'll not be using simply one means. We will be using every means we can find. If they are being assaulted from all fronts, it'll be a lot harder for them to stop any one direction.
And what should Agnes and I be doing while you conduct these operations?
Well, we definitely want to try to get some troops into that dig site, so we can learn how to make it to where your magic can actually be effective again. It would help if an entire part of our force wasn't, well, useless.
You can see her eyes slightly twitch, but she does sigh and give a conceding nod. Very well. But understand, that means that you will have no backup until we return. The siege line will be broken.
Well, I was going to suggest that if it is abandoned, we shouldn't need a very large force. One
We
of you can.
believe it is abandoned.
Well, I can send some thieves to have a look and make sure.
Hmm.
If it does look like it'll need a large effort, then I would suggest that we. If it looks like it would need a concerted effort, then I suggest we act as one to take it and cut off his defense from magic.
Very well.
Then we can reestablish the line from there. Otherwise, be prepared for when the moment presents itself.
I will make sure of it. I'm always ready. Sundragon kind of rolls her neck and cracks her knuckles.
If I need any help setting up like those traps on the farms, I will let you know. I must discuss with my generals as to how they think it would be best to go about this.
Very well, but be sure to keep us informed. The more we know about the plan, the better.
I will make sure you are in the know.
And at request, What's-His does also lean forward, and I might have a plan as well. We've built up a decent supply of gunpowder over our travels. If we manage to get enough of it piled at the base of the walls when the time comes and we can't just get the gate open, we can just blow it open. They're immune to magic, but doesn't seem like they're immune to gunpowder.
I just realized I probably should have had my troops bring those guns from that ship we acquired.
If you wish to arm your troops, we can hold the line. So far, despite their overwhelming advantage, they have not launched a direct attack against us. They've been playing purely defensively.
I assume we have taken time to build defenses of our own, just in case.
She gives a nod and gestures to the surrounding tree line. This provides us cover. Their rifles and cannons can't hit us accurately, especially with our tree cover. And with our much smaller army, we're far more mobile.
Basically, if they do decide to come out, you can just back off.
So,
If I need to, I can come back here in just a moment's time. I can travel through the tree, especially with the one by the pen, since I'm so familiar with it.
Autumnfall kind of gives a visibly disgusted snort.
I'm not like that. Stop it.
I could probably get the weapons if we didn't take any with us, by sending a small group to retrieve them. They'll be much more mobile and that's less likely to be noticed by anything, and it won't leave us completely out of position.
Very well, but be warned. The more divided your army becomes, not only the less help do you have to conduct your missions, but that is potential losses. We have no idea what's out there. We already know he's been hiring mercenaries to patrol the desert. Not to mention, we still haven't seen any word from Bullhammer.
Well, like I said, I will discuss it with my generals. They will have a better idea of how they can best handle the situation.
Very well. Alright. Good luck, Your Majesty. Try not to get killed out there. At least not without me. And Lucian, for your Arcana check from earlier, you have heard rumors of a material that can potentially just disable magic entirely, but that material, even if it exists at all, like there's not even proof of it, but even if it exists at all, it's said to be incredibly rare and valuable, found in only select places in the world. So, by your reckoning, it's very unlikely that Barbarous has come across enough of this mythical metal to coat an entire city with and give his troops supplies with it.
I guess what I was more asking was, like, does it remind me of the type of magic that we were introduced to, like, back down in Edict?
It is similar. While the effect does sound foreign, it seems, you understand magic on a fairly intimate level, given that you study it. It seems from what Autumnfall is describing that, like, magic just basically stops working on the walls and the troops whenever it hits them. It sounds like what's likely happening is either some sort of enchantment that auto counter spells, or potentially it is actually not an anti-magic field as you had proposed, which, yeah, as Autumnfall pointed out, would work differently. It sounds like what might be happening is there is so much magic that it causes an overload on any nearby spells, which, while dangerous, would be achievable with the resources Barbarous has.
Dangerous on what kind of level?
Dangerous on the level that the crystals that would be required to produce that much magic are easily mined and found. The problem is that they're incredibly toxic and typically get people incredibly sick.
Okay. Did we have any previous encounters with these crystals other than the ship tank?
Yeah, you saw like incidentally here and there, but as far as I can recall, at least, you haven't had any like extensive interaction with it. But you are aware of it.
So I'll speak with Autumnfall. I do find it interesting about the whole field thing. Have you considered that maybe they're using crystal?
Mana, it's certainly possible.
I mean, that would have to be so much crystals, and it would be very toxic, which could mean something for this army as well, and your army, Caleb. If they're using that many crystals, it could be very dangerous.
Autumnfall kind of pulls at her ponytail, not hard, but just kind of like seemingly like a nervous tick, as Sun Dragon kind of licks her lips and crosses her arms, both of them kind of reeling in the implications for a moment before. Well, I suppose that narrows down exactly what he was looking for when he went digging. But
there must be some way to counteract it.
I mean, we don't want to destroy the crystals. That would be even worse. Do I know of a way to, amend this other than removing the crystals?
Roll Arcana. Okay. And, depending on your response, I'll have Autumnfall respond.
But we do need to confirm that this is in fact what it is. For all we know, the Concord could have made something up using one of their scientists.
Yes, it's very possible. There's still very much we don't know, which is why I prefer the idea of getting as much information as we can before we strike.
That would be a 24. Natural 19, almost a natural 20.
Yes, you are correct that destroying the crystals would be incredibly dangerous. When the crystals are broken, they leak and spill their effect everywhere. However, unfortunately, the only way you know of to eliminate this is to either force the crystals to expend their magic, which you would have to know how they're being operated and where to do that, or do essentially something akin to dispel magic, but you would have to do that on a unprecedented scale, because according to the Autumnfall, at least, it is every soldier and the walls themselves.
Would in theory, and I don't know if I would have to roll again, I will happily do so. In theory, would an anti-magic field do?
Oh, we get some sections.
Yeah, you could get anything that was within the affected radius of 10 feet, but anything beyond that, nothing.
Bingo bongo! I will say, well, I do kind of have an idea for that, Caleb, if you're willing to listen.
Okay.
Like I said, I'm going to have to go with you guys anyway to memorize the the encampment so I can draw that map. While I'm at it, why don't I just create an anti-magic field, and that way we can get in without the harm of the crystals. And it might be able to let us get an attack in or two.
Well, how far can these anti-magic fields work?
Let me double check the spell real quick.
10 feet is typically the limit, unless you have the ability to extend it through sorceress means.
Yeah, it's a she's correct. It's a 10-foot radius, but I mean that's all we need to get in.
Well,
Very
hopefully
well.
we can find ways in that bypass their protection.
Well, even if it does, Caleb, the amount of cursors that they're supposedly using, we don't even know if that's the case, but I'm pretty sure that's the case. I mean, we have seen the Concord use these mana crystals before, like on Torpu's ship, for example. I have a feeling that that's, like she said, what he was mining for. So
Well, obviously he's not concerned about it, considering he's equipped all of
of
his
course
troops.
he's not. He doesn't care about anybody but himself. He's a tycoon. What do you expect?
Yes, but if his entire army dies, then that's kind of stupid, isn't it?
Well, what if he's not there? That's what I'm trying to say. I don't think that he's in the city anymore.
We've been blockading the city for months. Where would he have gone? And even if he did, how?
There's many different ways. What if there's like a secret passage? What if there's some kind of magic that he used, or technology if Kaloon got to him?
Then I suppose we have one more thing for you to keep an eye out for while you're scouting. Confirm His Majesty's presence within the city. If we can't secure the governor, this city is just a giant obstacle with no real gains outside of ruining their defensive position.
I'm thinking about disguising myself as a human. Seeing if I can maybe become, like, fade into the crowd and see what kind of information gather while I'm mapping out the encampment.
Would that not work, though?
We have no way of knowing. We haven't been able to get anyone inside the city since the siege started. For all we know, the effect stops once you get past the walls. I guess we won't know until we get you guys inside.
Guess we'll know then, because I can do it to get inside, and that way we'll know for sure.
Very well. If you and your Tabadrians are to act as a forward scout, then you may divide your forces as you deem appropriate, Your Majesty.
At first, I'm going to try to confirm and find as many ways in as possible.
Please don't let's get too close to the wall. We don't know what is over there, and the amount of mana crystals that they're using is very dangerous. It could mean a lot of terrible things if they get too close.
I feel like it would also be useful to confirm whether or not it is what you say it is.
Well, you're gonna have to have somebody alive to have them confirm that, Caleb.
Or we could just take where he's getting it from and see what it is.
And besides, you guys are tough motherfuckers.
No, we don't have to have them alive because I can talk to them when they're dead.
See? All works out.
I just thought of that.
I'm going to go speak with the generals and come up with a plan of action.
Will do, Your Highness. Yes. Keep us informed.
That snicker was totally in character.
We'll consider our defensive options in the meanwhile.
In the meanwhile, I think I'm going to go ahead and message Shadow Lily and Blackthorn and see if we can get some backup.
As you wish. Frankly, I think your spell slots are better used elsewhere. Zephyr, can we expect any assistance from you in this endeavor? I'm told that you have a profit motive.
I do, But I guess we'll see what the job entails, and also what's there to gain.
Very well. What is it you hope to gain?
Eh, something useful, I hope.
Unlike you, we have no need for loot in my homeland, and the barbarians are more than content with food and drink. So, I would be willing to negotiate you getting a first dibs, as it were, on any loot you find within the city's confines. This is the capital of the kingdom, after all. Likely they're incredibly well supplied, and while their loot is likely more well guarded than it's ever been at this point, it is loot nonetheless.
Mm-hmm.
Will that suffice?
Guess that happens to see what kind of loot there is.
Mostly I figure that basically is yes. Audible kind of shakes her head at the ridiculous companion Sundragon's associating with. Very well. Attend to your troops and formulate your plan.
I was going to say, I hope y'all won't mind, but a big part of what motivates my force is the idea of getting to loot that city for everything it's worth.
By all means. But, at least try to tell him to be, she seems like she's trying to think of the word in Autumnfall without looking up from her map, just kind of notes. Sound judgment? Yeah, make sure their judgment's real noisy. Because, it's not all soldiers in there,
Well, I will certainly tell them to show some restraint.
That's the word I was thinking of, restraint. I'm not surprised that
Ten-
word's not in your vocabulary.
Like, just thinking to himself, like, are Tibetans usually just more interested in, like, taking loot than actually, like, killing, say, innocent
Oh yeah,
civilians?
no. There's very little for a Tibetan to be gained from outright killing anyone. Even if they do hurt people, it's typically more for like, we have a hostage. Give us a bunch of money and we'll give them back.
It's not usually the Tibetan way to engage in such levels of barbarism.
Barbarism. Well, that will certainly be an asset if you're attempting to win hearts and minds. You have your work cut out for you, but I wish you luck. If there's any
Yeah.
assistance I can provide, do inform me.
As Tibetans, we typically are more interested in the gold than the blood. The blood tends to be more of a side effect.
She kind of gives a nod of like, yeah, fair enough. Anything else?
I was just gonna hang out with Aggie and see if she wanted to do anything before I guess I'll message Shadow Lily and Blackthorn later in the evening, so that way I don't waste my spell slots.
All right, noted. Zephyr, anything from you?
I'm gonna kind of wander off and
Sneak into the city.
see what this place has to offer.
Oh, fucking God. All right.
Yeah, I called that.
We will get back to you in a moment. With the meeting adjourned, you all begin to disperse. Zephyr wanders off into the camp and quickly vanishes from sight. Not unusual. More than likely he'll find his way back when he needs something. Lucian.
It's like a dog that gets out. It's like they know where their food bowl is.
Yeah. It's like you have no idea what shenanigans that dog's getting up to, but you know it's gonna come back for food. So you just kind of like, all right. I have no idea if you're like joining a gang or having puppies, but always come back.
I actually had that happen with a dog of mine.
Lucian, you remain with Sundragon, who smiles demurely to Autumnfall, who kind of chides her a little bit for her usual lack of decorum. But Sundragon just kind of playfully banters off of her until Autumnfall leaves, saying that she's going to pass word to her troops. At which point, Sundragon just sighs and puts her head on the table.
I give her head a little pat.
Fuck, this sucks.
Talk to me.
I wanted to tell everyone else about, but I can't.
I wanted to too. And I was waiting for your lead. I don't want to overstep. This is important to you.
Thank you.
So it's important to me.
It's nothing.
No, something, please.
You said you're gonna try and get the help of the rest of the Alliance. I'm sure they're on their way. They just need time.
Do you want me to message Blackthorn right now?
Yeah. Just make sure she's okay. With everything that went on back home, I've been worried that they might have done something to her.
I've been worried too. I haven't heard from Kero or anybody from that area, so I've been worried, but we've been so busy with everything. It's just been hard to keep track of everything.
I don't know. Maybe Rice is right. We're not getting any help. We need to figure this out ourselves.
No, let me at least try. There has to be a reason why they're not here.
You can see Sundragon kind of looks askance a little bit before just shaking her head and not responding.
I'm going to send a message to Blackthorn.
All right. We'll circle back to you.
Okay.
Caleb, as you exit the command tent, you find your generals are thankfully fairly easy to find. You can see that Goody is currently sitting across a campfire from Volpine, who is enriching the Sundragon troops with what initially sounds like just another tale of blood and guts. However, to his credit, as you get closer, Caleb can hear more snippets of it. You can hear he's actually giving somewhat sound advice. Whenever the wind blows to your back, stay low and do not move. They will pick up your scent on the wind. Only when the wind blows against you do you move. It is slower, but you'll be harder to catch. Yeah, and make sure you don't keep your bow strung the whole time. Only string it up whenever you're actually ready for the fight. Otherwise, it's just going to be a twig by the time the fight actually breaks out. Understand me? All the Sundragon Barbarians are like seeming to just be eager for the stories, as Goody sees you approaching first from his angle and gives you a wave, and Volpine looks over his shoulder to you, Caleb. His Majesty returns.
Yes, and there's something we need to discuss.
He gives you a nod, and Goody nods as well and turns to the barbarians. All right, y'all. Clear out. Make sure you listen to what we told you. Make sure the camp's all secure. We gotta start battle planning. We'll make sure y'all are in the loop. They all say their goodbyes to the generals as Goody approaches you, kind of dusting off his jacket and crosses his arms as Volpine just turns in his seat to be looking at you from a seated position and leans forward and begins to light a cigar. Yes.
We discussed things with the other leaders, and I've come up with a plan to try to help our situation.
Well,
Considering the enemy probably outnumbers us, has the advantage of defensive walls, And this seems to be more generally experienced in combat. We need to fabricate new advantages for ourselves.
I'm inclined to agree. At the moment, I feel like even though we're the ones besieging, we're the ones who are all penned up. What'd you have in mind, Your Majesty?
I'm going to start organizing our forces into small parties. At first, they will be used to simply find ways into the city. Once we have found, or at least confident we found almost every way we could sneak in, we're going to make use of all those directions. Infiltrate the city, cause disruption, and most importantly, learn about the layout, where their troops sleep, where they eat, how we can best weaken them before we strike. And try to find those who are dissatisfied with the current leadership, those who will be willing to, as they say, open the gates to us.
A sound plan. How do you plan to execute it?
Well, our first stage is going to be finding ways in. I'm going to start sending out search parties to scour the edges of the city to find as many ways in as possible. At the same time, we're going to organize a group to head to a camp nearby. Apparently, it's where those gnolls came from.
Yeah.
It is possible that they are all dead and this camp is wide open. But the reason we need this camp is Barbarous has been securing items that are rendering the magic of our allies useless.
That's not ideal.
Apparently, all of their soldiers have masks that nullify magic at this point.
You can see the two of them look to each other, and yeah, that does line up. Troops are talking about troops in black wearing skull masks. Nothing seems to work on them, at least nothing arcane, and they're good fighters.
So we must learn what these masks are made of, what this material he's been gathering is, so that we can learn how to defeat it. After all, it wouldn't do us no good if, even when we open the gates, most of our forces are unable to do anything.
I wouldn't say most. We did a head count last night. Autumnfall brought 7.
7?
So as it stands, we have a little over 600 people who can actually fight.
Well, hopefully we can find some people who agree that Barbarous's reign needs to end.
That should work. I've heard a lot of their troops are conscripts.
Not to mention, from what I understand of Barbarous, if you're not, well, like him, things are very difficult in that city.
Both of them give a nod. You can see Volpine is staring at you hard as he nods.
So it should be more. There should be plenty of people who would like to see a change in that.
Let us hope they think like you do. All right. How should I organize the search parties, Your Majesty?
I was thinking I would leave it up to the discretion of you two. You are most experienced with the small details like that. I do also wish to organize a small group that might be able to... Because I believe we forgot to bring the weapons from that ship we took, right?
Yeah, we took a few supplies off of it, but didn't exactly arm up.
I want to send a small group that can move quicker than our large force to go back to that ship and try to gather as many of those weapons as we can. As I said, we're going to need as many advantages as possible. Well, I'm sure these null longbows are effective. I think most people know that weapons like we're on that ship could be even more effective.
Alright. It's going to take a lot of men to transport goods. It's between that and the search parties. Our force is going to be stretched thin, but I think we can make it work. but he looks to Volpine, who kind of rolls his eyes and leans towards you, Caleb, seeming like he's the one who's been assigned to deliver you something unfortunate. You understand that up to this point, between you and your companions, we have been incredibly fortunate that our men have not joined the feast. But the closer you get to those walls, the more likely we're going to start taking losses. Any entrances into the city are likely to be guarded, and if any of our men make a mistake and get captured, there will be nothing we can do. Is that the risk you're willing to take?
I will take what risk we have to. Hopefully, we can find ways in that they didn't think about.
Guess we have to hope for luck.
And then, whenever we can, I would like to have some of the organized parties be dedicated to trying to raid anything trying to get into the city. Especially trying to raid the farms that are near the city. If we, like I said, we're going to need as many advantages as possible. If we can significantly impact their ability to bring in food and other supplies, it will start to take a toll on them. Not to mention, we might be able to organize some traps using the forces from Sun Dragon, where our thieves raid the farm, draw in one of their patrols, and lead them straight to into a trap against the forces of Sun Dragon. Try to whittle them down, I guess.
The two of them look to each other again and kind of mull over what's been presented to
If
them.
we have to have less search parties for finding ways into the city, that is fine to do that.
No, it's not that, Your Majesty. It's just doing the math is all. We don't have a whole lot in the way of numbers. Let me think here. Volpine kind of looks at the city thoughtfully.
What would you say is the least amount we would need to gather those weapons from that ship?
I'd say we're going to need at least 50, and even then they'd have to make 2 trips. 100, they could do it all in one, but that's nearly a third of our force gone. And we're going to need another third to check all the entrances, see if there's any way in.
We shall send only 50 to gather the weapons. If we can only make 1 trip, that's fine. It's not like we are working with unarmed troops here.
All right.
Even if we can get just a part of our troop armed with these weapons, I feel like it would make an impact.
All right. Let me see here. So we need about 100 if we want to check everywhere. Some will die, but those who live can tell us what they found. All right. So that's 100 to check the walls, 50 to check for the weapons. That leaves about 2/3 of our force left. You said you want us keeping an eye out for caravans. I say if we want to be extra careful, I'd say about 30 ought to be good for taking any caravan that runs through.
I want to put together maybe a very small group to scout out that camp I was talking about, to make sure it is empty or not. They can go there, check it out, and come back, and then can be used for other purposes.
Very well. I'd say a dozen would be more than enough.
Yes, this group is not expected to fight anything. Just see what's going on.
All right. My math is right. That leaves us 174 men left. Any others? Any tasks, I mean?
I guess just having them help with the siege with the Sun Dragon forces that are trying to hold some semblance of a siege. Our people know caravans quite well, considering we've taken a lot of them. We might be able to help them figure out how they might try to bypass them.
Yes, Your Majesty. I'll spread the word. Anything else?
I think that should be everything for now.
Mm-hmm.
Once we found the ways in, once we manage to find the ways in, we can think about how we can organize our raids that go into the city.
All right. I'm just noting
Consider
all this down.
Consider this the first phase of the plan.
All right. So that's 100 to Badrin scouting the walls, 50 going back to the ship, grabbing guns and coming back, 30 attacking any caravan that comes in or out, and 12 going trying to find the dig site and seeing if it's still inhabited.
Yeah, Caleb will tell them to check. Did Sun Dragon or the other one, I forget what her name
Autumnfall.
was. Autumnfall. Did either of them say exactly where the camp was, or did they just say there was a camp?
They said they've identified its location. They just the Null Force was too big for them to attack it directly, especially when them being between Toradana and the camp. So you can easily just like have them get the location from her.
Whenever you have the 12 for the scouting party, tell them to check with, I guess, Autumnfall. She could tell them where the camp is.
Yes, Your Majesty. We'll get right on that. May I join the scouts?
If you wish.
You say there are farms that are unprotected. Good.
Well, there are patrols, but they are not protected by defensive structures, if that's what you mean.
Even better. I've seen there is a stream that runs through those farms. It has been a long time since I've been in the water.
Yeah, hopefully that stream might be a way to get in.
I will do you proud, Your Majesty. And he gives you a wicked crocodile smile.
I guess the troops that are helping with Sun Dragon, we can occasionally organize some of them to do the farm raids. That way we'll have Tibadrians who have been working with Sun Dragon forces.
We'll pass word on. Thank you, Your Majesty.
Oh, and I wish to... Since I know at least you, Volpine, have some concerns. What do you think of I shall send my father and his friend with the 50 going back to the ship?
I think that would be best if he were here to be given an order.
Where did he go?
We don't know. Disappeared sometime last night.
Oh my goodness.
Well, I guess I shall have a task for the 12 scouts when they get back.
Yes, sir. Sorry, sir. If it helps, his friend, still around, said that he was just running back to the ship for some supplies. So our boys running back for the guns might run into him.
Hopefully.
He kind of gives you a somewhat nervous bow, sir, and heads off to pass on orders. Volpine kind of stares at you and licks his lips before turning and lumbering into the camp to gather his task force. The Tibadran army readies for war. Zephyr, what the actual crystal and goddamn fuck are you doing?
I told you, just seeing what this place has to offer, possibly better.
What Zephyr does?
Yeah, I'm just gonna mainly look for if they have any magic items that I can utilize better.
First things first.
Is he stealing from our allies?
Yes.
Oh, never mind then. Oh, so you're just looking around the camp?
Yeah.
Okay, I thought you were just making a beeline for the city and just gonna rob the fucking bank. That's
Oh.
why I was like, all right, let's see how this goes.
I mean, that is
Okay.
a tempting offer too, but I'll probably wait until all this.
Yeah,
is
just
done.
tempting, admittedly, but okay. Do you have any preference on which faction you raid?
Nope. I have Tabedra, Sun Dragon, or it doesn't matter. Well, if I see something that I see deemed useful, I might just put it put it in my pocket.
Roll investigation.
All right.
And I'm assuming you're going to try and be discreet about all this.
Yeah, I mean, mostly I'm just gonna, for now, just like casually walking around, looking. If I'm in like a restricted area, then yeah, I'll be sneaky, but otherwise I'll just keep my eyes peeled.
So I guess for my reference, are you mostly trying to see just what they have, and you're not necessarily stealing it yet, or are you going to try and steal anything you see?
Again, if it seems like a good match, if it has like some sort of magical property, you know what? I guess while all this is happening, I'll detect magic on it.
Yeah, I was going to say that would make this easier. Okay. So you already roll investigation?
Investigation.
What'd you get?
Let's see. Oof. 8. Oh wait.
Okay.
Cool. No, I forgot.
Yeah, reliable talent.
Yeah, proficiency. So that'll be 16.
Okay, noted. All right. Fucking Zephyr. Okay. Hang on, let me put on my thieving music. I literally put aside thieving music for Zephyr.
Just name the playlist Zephyr.
Yeah, Zephyr steals.
Yeah.
All right, Zephyr. With Caleb's attention on directing the troops and Lucian's on Sun Dragon's muscles,
Oh yeah.
you stalk the Western Alliance encampment, and your eyes darken but do not leak as you cast your now glowing dark gaze upon every tent, Sun Dragon and Autumnfall and Tabadrin alike, that you pass through.
Zephyr does not discriminate.
The Tabadrins do not have anything that you would find very interesting. None of their equipment is magical. The only thing you do notice, I will say, with your investigation check on for them is that, as mentioned, they have traded out their crossbows for the Knoll bows, and the Sun Dragon troops have actually equipped a lot of the Tabadrins with horses.
Oh.
I feel like I was like trying to think, is that a good combo? Do we know horses? Are we good horseback?
Not necessarily on a given, but cavalry's generally better than infantry unless the infantry's got pikes. Besides, they don't have to use them. Just, you know,
Yeah.
It's nice. What does interest you is a few things you find while skulking the Sun Dragon tents.
Other than Lucian drooling over her girlfriend.
So, I guess for my reference, are you checking, essentially, the troop tents, or do you want to see if the leaders have anything too?
Well, the leaders would probably have more of the good stuff. I don't think I can get away with that so easily.
Yeah, I just wanted to check, because it would obviously affect what you find.
Yeah, I get it.
So, just the troops?
Yeah.
Okay,
I'm gonna be right back.
go ahead. In the Sun Dragon troop tents, you find that, actually, to your surprise, a decent amount of their equipment does give off magical properties. It's likely they found a few things while raiding the previous barbarous towns. You can see that every barbarous troop is equipped with 2 flasks of some sort of magical liquid. I will say both of them give off, through Detect Magic, an aura of enchantment. Their armor has been enchanted, and each of them are carrying a javelin that gives off elemental magic.
Mm.
The Autumnfall troops, as mentioned to Caleb, you are now discovering yourself, there's not that many of them. Even counting the queen, there's about 8 of them. Not even 10 full troops. But you quickly discover what they're bringing to the table.
Yeah, they're strong.
You can see that almost everything they carry outside of their actual weapons is magical. You can see each troop is wearing an enchanted bracer, an enchanted cloak, carrying about 3 different potions, 4 different scrolls, and a wand that has a magic contained within it. However, you notice that when they are not in active battle, the troops appear to have these items locked in chests at the foot of their beds.
Oh yeah, that's just child's play for Zephyr though.
Yeah, of course. So the barbarians have magic stuff that is more easily accessible, but probably not as effective. You can go for the Autumn Falls, but that will require lock picking and, of course, stealthily getting in and out without being caught.
Yeah, get rid of this.
I fucking love Zephyr.
Yeah, I'll steal from the city next time.
So what you want to go for?
If I had to choose only one, I would probably choose the lock.
I mean, you don't like. It's more. What do you do first, basically?
I was gonna think like if all of them have the same potion, I'd grab like one of the barbarians potions, see kind of what they have.
Roll sleight of hand.
Do I really need to roll that?
Yes, unfortunately.
Just joking. 30. Ironically, that's not even what's reliable. Well, it's like exactly what reliable. I rolled a 10, so.
Yeah. God, you're fucking everything. All right. The Sun Dragon troops do notice you as you're skulking through the camp, but they think you're an ally. You marched with them before, so they don't think too much of your presence. And they just kind of give you a wave or clap you on the shoulder. It appears that word has spread that you don't just, like, manhandle Zephyr, so they limit most of their physical contact to just, like, giving you a clap on the shoulder. But as the troops welcome you to the Western Alliance, you sneak a flask off of each of their belts.
I will figure out what that does later.
And I will also say, with you getting closer to the Sun Dragon troops, you also, I will say, notice your magic detection does pick up. Each of them are carrying a stone that gives off magical energy of elemental magic. I'm not sure what exactly it is, but you can see each one of them are carrying one.
Intriguing.
Are you content with your thievery from the Sun Dragon troops?
Yes. I will
Alright.
hold off.
Alright, you gonna go after the Autumnfall troops, or are you done for now?
Oh yeah, gotta even it out.
Of course, yeah, you don't want to be biased. Alright, this one's gonna require a bit more finagling from you. First of all, roll stealth.
Stealth, okay.
Stealth!
Ooh, that would be 20, a dirty 20.
Okay. Luckily, their perception is not great. Okay.
Yeah, the mages.
Zephyr, you watch as the sorcerers are gathered around listening to Autumnfall as she passes on the instructions Caleb had given them. and you sneak your way into one of their tents, and you see that, yes, there is a gray and silver chest with the snowflake emblem of Autumnfall emblazoned in a brand on it. The chest appears to be locked, but you can, of course, attempt to crack it.
Let's see what kind of luck we're dealing with here. You know?
All right.
I just gotta give it a little touch, you know.
Like, all right, Zephyr, you give a cautious touch to the silver chest. Nothing appears to happen. Nobody outside reacts. No alarm goes off.
Well, yeah. I mean, with detect magic, I assume there's nothing on the chest itself.
Yeah, the chest does have a magic upon it.
That's probably gonna make things harder, but I have ways to avoid if need be. I guess for preparations, I'm gonna turn invisible, and then I'm gonna do my little lockpick.
Roll with thieves' tools.
Yeah.
Zephyr, you hit the button on the mother stealth suit and vanish from sight. And you lean down silently, bust open your lock-picking tools, and begin to finagle the lock of the silver chest.
Yeah. Also, we mentioned that using thieves' tools also counts towards reliable talent, right?
Yes, I believe as long as you're proficient.
Yeah, which I am. So 30.
Zephyr? The lock is tougher than you expected. It seems to be similar to what the Tabadrin had offered you back in Rosewick, a lock that constantly adapts to any attempt to break into it. But Autumnfall may be some of the best mages in Yav, but you are one of the best lockpicks. You, after several minutes of concentrated effort, managed to just barely hit the last button in time. You literally got exactly what you needed. The chest lets out a quiet hiss as you can see the runic snowflake fade. And you can now open the chest.
I will.
Do you wish to do so?
Yeah, I will carefully open the chest.
You can see that inside is several things. First, you see a red and blue wand with like black stripes on it. Several scrolls, 4 in total. 3 different potions, 2 of which you can instantly identify as healing potions. The other one is unfamiliar to you. A pair of white and cyan bracers. A white and cyan cloak, as well as a small crossbow with a quiver of bolts and a dagger.
I'll take one of the I'll take the potion that I am unfamiliar with.
Okay. Unfamiliar potion. Anything else?
Yeah. I don't really care for a wand. I don't need a wand. Not Harry Potter.
I'm not Harry Potter.
Fantastic. I don't want the cloak, but what else was in there? I know there was a potion, cloak, a wand.
Scrolls, bracers, a crossbow, and a dagger. The crossbow and the dagger do not give off magical energy.
But yeah, I was like, I don't really need weapons too much, so I will. What kind of energy or what kind of magic do the bracers give off?
Conjuration.
Oh. Alright, I'll snag that.
Noted. All right. You
Yeah.
grab the bracers, the unfamiliar potion. That's it.
Yes.
All right. And you shut the chest. Unfortunately, there's no way for you to place the enchantment back on it, so someone's going to figure it out eventually if they're observant. But that's the best you can do. Anything else before you try and dip out?
Nope. I'm gonna just, I'm gonna walk out while invisible, so and then of course I'm gonna kind of get decent ways, like probably out of eyesight and cloak.
All right. Yeah, I'll say with the invisibility giving you advantage and they're not great perception, you're good. Zephyr, you skulk your way out of the tent silently, ill-gotten gains in hand. Your Tebadron itch satisfied, you scurry into the trees out of sight before allowing yourself to fade back into view, and you look over your gains. We'll come back to you. Although in the meantime, I guess just like while we're away from you, essentially, is there anything you'd wish to do while you're active?
Probably by myself, maybe like in a tree or something. I would look at what kind of items I've gained.
All right, so essentially, like, yeah, try and identify them over the next few hours. Okay. Which ones do you want to try and identify first? The potions or the bracers?
I'm gonna do the bracers.
All right. Yep, as long as you have at least an hour, you can do that. Noted. Caleb.
Yes.
The troops are distributing your orders. It will obviously take them time to start executing them, but they are delivering them. Is there anything you wish to do, like while the troops go about the tasks you set them to?
He'll. I think he'll just wait for the generals to have it organized, and he'll go with various groups at various times
Okay.
to help them
I guess.
with the search.
All right. So I guess any preference on which group you want to tag along with first?
Nah, he wants to spread it out a little bit, show the king's presence and all.
All right. Noted.
He figures if they see the king out there with them, then it'll help morale and stuff.
That's fair. Noted. All right. In that case, Lucian is AFK for the moment, so we will just circle around.
Just grabbing food.
Yes. So.
Fud.
So. At this point, the sun is at about a late afternoon air. You can see that the trees are beginning to cast sharp shadows against the grassy plains that overlook the desert and the mountains. The distant city is agleam with lights, although not as much as you would expect for one of the most populated cities in this part of the country. Zephyr, up in your tree, over the next hour, you are able to identify your bracers are bracers of defense.
Ah.
So +2 to AC if you're attuned and are not wearing armor or shield.
Now I have 2 of those.
Sorry.
I get it.
It appears this is a Autumnfall substitute for armor.
Yeah.
Caleb, for your part, it takes the better part of the day for the troops to actually be assembled, so I'll assume that you're just helping the generals with, getting everyone organized, assigning who goes where. And after a moment, you can see Kino, who appears to be indulging a little bit too heavily in the Sun Dragon alcohol, but he does join you and kind of... He's less giving orders himself and more just drunkenly repeating what you say to make sure the troops hear it, but he's at least helping.
Caleb's just like, I didn't know I had an echo.
It's up. Yeah, it happens when you're up in the mountains, mate. It's a whole thing. You can have conversations with him for hours before you realize you're just talking to yourself. He takes another swig of Sun Dragon drink before kind of throwing his empty canister into the arms of a nearby barbarian and continuing to help you organize the Tebadrons. It'll be by about nightfall that you actually get the troops completely organized, but you are able to do so. They will take a rest, but then begin going about your tasks in the morning.
Fair enough.
Zephyr, do you wish to attempt to identify the potions in the meanwhile?
Yes.
Okay. In that case, roll medicine. Roll it twice, but not like advantage, just like separately.
Yeah.
Although,
so there's two of them.
yeah. Are you proficient in these sorts of things? Let me check.
Probably not. I know.
No, yeah, you know jewels, but you don't know potions. So yeah, roll medicine twice. Give me both results. Or yeah, you technically stole because you stole both potions from a Sun Dragon troop, right?
Well, I mean, I thought they only had one. They just all had the same one.
Let me double check. I might have misremembered. No, yeah. I mentioned they each had 2 flasks of a different potion. I assumed you took them both, but
yeah. I mean,
okay. So in that case, 3. So we'll just take this one at a time. Any preference on which one you check first? You notice one is in like a flask, not like a drinking flask, but like similar to the flasks you and some of the other troops carry for like oil and stuff. The other one is a more traditional potion, as is the one you got from Autumnfall. Any preference on which one you I'd try to identify first?
Yeah. I guess I'll try to identify the flask first.
Roll medicine.
7.
Total.
Yes.
You see as you kind of pop open the flask once you get comfy in the tree and have identified the bracers and put them right next to the other bracers. You look inside the flask and you see it's filled with a bright blue liquid. It doesn't really have a distinct smell to it. You can't really identify what it is. You do know that it makes you really itchy. Like when you sniff it, you feel like your nose gets kind of hot and itchy.
Hot. I see. You'll put that away. Yeah, he might, assuming it might be, something to tamper with.
Noted.
Save it for later.
Alright, so Sun Dragon Potion or Autumnfall Potion?
Autumnfall.
Roll medicine. Putting the flask aside to be as a potential useful thing, you curiously investigate what you had retrieved from the sorcerer's chest that you haven't already identified.
Yeah, 11.
You're not exactly a chemist. This is also somewhat unfamiliar to you. You can see that it's this like kind of pinkish potion that has like little flecks of black in it. Looking over it, yeah, you're not 100% certain what it does. It's chemistry. It's a mystery to you. One last one. Roll medicine.
Let's hope I get this medicine. Okay, not bad. 16.
Alright, this one you actually can identify. Looking, you see that this potion is a brilliant, like neon blue, and is noticeably warm in your hands. You recognize the color and sort of feeling of, while it's not a spell you've cast, it is a sensation you've experienced. This is a potion of expeditious retreat.
I see. I believe that doesn't do anything.
Sorry.
I get it, but I mean, hey, I get they need it. Go faster.
Yeah, they do not share your speed, unfortunately.
Wait, he can't use that?
Well, I think it does, like, allows you to use your bonus action to dash. So,
Which he already can.
Ah, I see.
I think.
It would have been better. It's pretty much useless to rogues.
Yeah, because, like, it's bonus action, you can dash. Yeah, it doesn't really do much for rogues. Which, I mean, it's not on their spell list, so that's fair, but yeah.
Yeah.
But so you have 2 unidentified liquids, but 1 you're able to identify as a speed potion.
Yeah, 1 identified, 1 gives like a little...
Yeah, you seem allergic to it or something.
Gives some itchiness, so maybe it could be applied to make someone itchy, I don't know.
I can figure out what that is. Because the idea of you describing what this is as, like, itching powder is so fucking funny. Because, like, that is the understatement to end all understatements.
But... And then I guess I can save the retreat one for whatever. I need to get someone else to go faster.
Yeah, it's like, alright, you guys are too slow for me. Like, grabs Lucian, like, just corks the potion and just, like, dunks it in her throat. And, like, alright, drink up, you gotta keep up.
You could just ask,
like-
you know, you don't have to
like
shove it
even
down my throat.
I feel like even then, Lucian still wouldn't be able to keep up.
Oh, it's
Fair, but she'd at least be faster.
Yeah, it's a Zephyr now, but...
Alright. Anything else, Zeph?
No. Good day's work.
Alright. Yeah. Some stealing, some item identifying, some walking away from the rest of the party. You basically did everything Zephyr does.
Mhm.
Speaking of, Lucian. While Caleb busies with the troops and Zephyr busies with himself, so I know you said you wanted to do the message sending later tonight.
Well, because I told her that I was gonna do it right then, so
All right, so yeah, go ahead.
I'll message Blackthorn now, and if there's time or if I have slots, I'll do Shadow Lilies. But I can always do that tomorrow.
Okay. So in that case, what do you say to Blackthorn? And of course, knock off a spell slot.
I just wanted to check in with you because I haven't heard from you. Please let me know you're okay. That's exactly 25.
Oh, hi! Haven't heard from you in a while. Yeah, we're okay.
I'm gonna give Aggie one of those. She's being chipper.
She just smiles. Yeah, she's like that. Nothing ever gets her
Does she
down.
say anything else?
Yeah, like as Sundragon's responding to you, she's continuing. Like you're getting that like feedback of her like babbling in your ear as Sundragon says. I hear you guys reached the war front. Good job. Good luck out there. And that's where it ends.
She definitely doesn't sound like she's gonna be coming. But do you want me to ask anyways?
I don't know.
I'm gonna sit next to her and just put my hand on her knee. It's better to know than to not know.
But I do know. That's the problem.
I mean, there has to be a reason, right?
Of course there's a reason. She never wants to leave. She never has. She never goes to meetings. She never leaves the walls. She just...
But I saw her at the ball.
That's the first time she'd left her home in years. And look where that got her.
You have a point.
And
But she could still send people to come here. That's the thing.
she doesn't want to send her own people and put them in danger. Even whenever the Tebadrians attacked her, she never retaliated, because that would put her people in danger. at best she would hire mercenaries. And, well, mercenaries are a dime a dozen, but loyalty is hard to buy.
I mean, isn't that just kind of like how this whole alliance thing is supposed to work? They come to us when we need them?
This is Yav, Lucian. Everyone's out for themselves.
That's not how it should be, though. That's why I want to create this. I want to create something so wonderful that could change Yav forever. But I need everybody's cooperation.
She just kind of shakes her head and looks up at the sky. You know, Sophus used to say the same thing.
I feel like I would have liked him.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so too. But just because that's the world we want doesn't mean that's the world we have.
But it's a world that we can fight for, Aggie. That's what I'm fighting for. I'm fighting for us. A world where we can live happily and freely without looking over our shoulders.
How are you gonna do that? Look at what's happening.
I know. It looks bleak, believe me. I mean, you wouldn't believe me if I even told you half the shit I've seen. Especially with these ichor beasts.
To be fair, you've been keeping me pretty consistently updated.
I know. I'm sorry, but I mean, these people that I'm traveling with don't like me, so it's not like I have anybody else to talk to, because my brother's on their side. I don't have anyone, Aggie.
Neither do
I have to kill my own brother. I'm putting it off as long as I can.
I know. Sometimes family doesn't give us a choice.
He brought him back. He brought my dad back. Do you know what that could mean for the Concord?
I'm sorry. I don't have answers. Not even for myself.
I'm not looking for answers. I'm looking for... I don't know. Yav is our home. It needs to feel like a home where we are safe and protected from the outside. That's what a home is. Not constantly at war with each other.
She thinks the same thing, and that's why she's not here.
But I am here. I keep asking myself if I want to go home. But I don't even feel like it's home anymore. I miss my bed, I miss my things. But none of that's going to matter if the Concord, is successful in their endeavors. None of us are going to be alive much longer if the beasts take over. If she gets what she wants.
And we still don't even know what that is.
I know. I've been driving myself insane trying to think of what possibly it could be. And the only thing I can come up with is revenge for what happened to her.
What do you mean?
She kind of gives a really long pause before meeting her eyes again. The lady in white was the Emperor's wife.
Lady of Chussets?
Yeah.
That's just a story.
That's what they all say, right? I mean,
Guess you're not
dragons are just a story, and you had one.
I get what you're trying to say.
We're all just stories in the end. What is history but a story?
Yeah. The way things are going, it looks like it's going to be his story, not ours. She nods to the distant walls.
I'm hoping to erase him from history. Oh, Aggie, the things I have planned for him. But I make you this promise. You can have the final blow if I can control it.
Honestly, at this point, I don't think it matters. We
No.
need to stop these people. Our home isn't perfect, but it's all we have. People turn on each other every day. But at least some of us came when we called. She nods to the sorcerers gathered outside.
What if I message Carol? She could always come on her own free will. Maybe she can rally some people to come and help.
If Ikaria lets her.
I was also thinking about messaging Shadow Lily. I met her mother and her dad, and there are some things that I need to say to her on their behalves. And I think it might convince her to at least help.
Good luck. None of our messengers have been able to get an answer.
I'm gonna message Shadow Lily right now.
Okay, knock off a spell slot.
Okay. I'm just keeping track so I can just knock them all at once before bed.
Yeah.
Okay, so I will say... I know it's been a while since we've talked, but I met your parents, and they are so proud of you. Please message me back. 25 exactly.
Mm-hmm. Richenda is quiet for a long moment.
I kind of like there's like that tense feeling of Lucian just like staring at Aggie like, come on.
Before you finally hear a response, it's whispered and choked. I can't. I'm sorry. And that's it.
Did she sound scared or just upset?
Roll inside at disadvantage.
Yeah, because I can't see her face to make
Yeah.
any. Yeah, that makes sense. A disadvantage. Okay, the first roll was that. Okay. 22.
A little bit of both. She's definitely scared. That's unmistakable. But you can tell there's a part of her that is speaking in a tone that's filled with fear, but you can almost detect traces of resentment, as if she's angry at herself for being so afraid.
There's a long silence before Lucian connects eye contact again with Aggie. I got 2 words. And there's so much fear behind them.
Yeah, I figured.
But it was whispered. Like it was a
Luce, there's not always a big conspiracy behind it. Some people are just assholes who don't care about you and don't want to help.
I don't think that's what's happening here. I've
Good for
met
you.
her. I've met her. She's not like that.
I have, too. I've known her longer than you. She's a coward. She won't come. She doesn't care that we're fighting to help her. She doesn't care about anything she signed or any deal she made. What she cares about is her being safe. So if she wants to cower behind those walls for the rest of her life, I say let her. Because the fight's going to come to her one way or the other. Because either we're going to lose, or we're going to win, and I'm going to give her a piece of my mind myself.
I think you should.
This is Yav. Sometimes people just lie to you. You need to accept that. There's not always a reason. Sometimes, and she pulls a flask from her hip and takes a swig. People just fucking suck.
You know, before I started, I didn't really hate it before. But that man that my brother is seeing, I've never hated more in my life.
Seems like it's going around.
I think he did something. No, really,
You're not listening to me.
I am listening to you, but
Why is it so hard for you to believe that your brother is just a shithead who doesn't care about you? Family sucks sometimes. Look at the Tebadrins. Either one of them would sell each other out for a coin.
I've known him for 170 years. That's a long time to know somebody.
Well, if you want to bank on that, that's fine. But I'm not sticking my neck out for some scythe-wielding, necromancing psychopath because you and him happen to share a blood type. This kingdom, these people out there, are all I have left.
He's all I have left, Aggie.
Are you going to stop me?
No. Because I don't think I can do it.
Good. I'll do it myself then.
Look, sorry, I know this is hard. But what matters is that we are here. We may be a bunch of asshats, but we're here. I'm here.
I know. And she might not show it, but Rice really thinks that you guys might give us a fighting chance. I think she's right. But you need to focus. You can't win a war when you're playing both sides. Otherwise, the only one that's going to win is you. And with that, she stands up and begins to storm out of the tent, running a hand through her hair, still looking exhausted.
I'll just sit in the bed and cry. Until I can compose myself and, just come back out and see if there's anything that needs to be done.
Alright. By this point, the sun has set and night is beginning to fall. The last of the troop arrangements have been made. They will go about the tasks in the morning. Zephyr, you have done your best to identify everything you've stolen, and Lucian...
I was going to check in with Caleb real quick.
Alright. Caleb, as you're finalizing the troop placements and they're tucking in for rest, Lucian approaches you. Face looking a little puffy, but otherwise she seems fine.
Is there a problem?
Nothing I don't think you can help with right now, but did you tell them about the crystals?
Well, right now, I don't think we plan on getting that close to the city yet. We're just trying to identify ways to get in.
Okay. I just don't want you to lose your men. That's all.
Well, crystals or not, that is a risk. But unfortunately, we are not in positions to not take risks. The people who don't take risks are the people who know they're going to win without them. We don't even know. So we're going to have to take some risk, but hopefully the risk will be worth it. And it will help us achieve our goal and deal a blow to this Concord finally. One that maybe they'll actually care about, who knows. Sometimes it feels like even though we pick off one of their members, it just doesn't seem to affect them.
Yeah.
Maybe something more public is necessary.
Well, there is the ball that's coming up.
Well, I'm hoping to have something before then in this battle.
I mean, there's really nothing more public than that. I mean, the Scar Concord is holding it. I mean, think about it.
Well, I mean, like, a battle that takes a capital city is pretty public.
Yes, but...
I will remind you, Lucian, you can do both.
Oh, true. Thank you. You're right. Perhaps both would be needed for this situation.
Hopefully, if we succeed here, it will give more hope to other members of the Alliance to participate going forward. And it will hopefully send a message to the Concord that even if when they outnumber us, we still find a way.
I did message them both. They're not coming.
I expected so. They're playing the long game. They want to see if they'll actually succeed before they leave their walls. Unfortunately, this continent is full of people who don't seem to see bigger threat. They don't seem to realize that this is different than before.
I've tried to convince Aggie of that myself, but it seems that I've been naive. I've never involved myself in a war before.
Well, I've never been either. Well, not actually participating in it. I mean, I guess technically my life has been up for grabs in a war once. When Tebedra was formed, the Tsardom and others didn't much like our creation, and when I was very little, there were many nights that we would be under attack, and there was no way of knowing if that would be the day that the rolls came down, and that would probably be the end of me and my family.
For the first time, you kind of see a slow, like, I wouldn't say revelation, but more of a, it didn't really hit her until now.
Is something wrong?
It's just, I guess, my mom was gone a lot when I was growing up. And I didn't really get to experience the world until I started investigating the Icar and everything. And just hearing you describe that has its own gravity. I can't imagine being a child and experiencing something that horrible. I'm sorry. And I'm sorry if my family had anything to do with it too. Because, no offense, but my dad did hate you guys.
Oh, everyone did.
And
Maybe the only people who didn't might have been the Northern Thieves, and even then they might have saw us as competition.
that. I kind of look around. Is there somewhere more private we can talk?
Was there?
Yeah, you guys are the camp is out in the forest. You can easily find some trees to reposition at.
I guess Caleb will look back to his organizing and be like, I'll leave it to you. I will speak with Lucian real quick.
Go right ahead, Your Majesty. I think we got it covered. We'll get to work in the morning.
Caleb will lead Lucian a bit away.
I'll follow him.
You guys pull a bit away from the encampment and come to rest in a far-off tree line. Zephyr, you hear footsteps below you as Lucian and Caleb pull away from the camp and gather together for a private convo. Once you guys feel like you've gotten some distance and privacy, you may proceed.
I'm
What
gonna
is there to discuss?
I'm gonna find a stump and sit on it.
Easily done. Pop a squat on a stump.
Up a squat on this stump. All right. I don't know how else to tell you this, so I'm just gonna tell you this. I had an interesting encounter with the Queen of the Northern Thieves.
Didn't she mention this before?
She had told you, yes, that yeah, like during your coronation, she had met with the Khan, who basically made it clear that like she would rather just stay neutral in this war. So if you guys can take Toradana, she will intervene, assist you, and give you access to a teleporter network she built during the War of Gilded Roses.
I think I remember you mentioning this.
Yeah, turns out, and I'm gonna kind of do this in hushed tones. Turns out that's Aggie's mom, and Aggie feels pretty strongly about this, in a negatory situation. You know, she says that the Khan is not to be trusted, which I kind of thought was a little obvious, but just the way that she spoke about her mom was just really nishkit.
Well, that's certainly interesting to know. I'm going to guess there's some abandonment issues here, considering this is
Yeah,
not
you could.
very well-known information.
Yeah, I would keep it on the DL if you could, please. I don't know if I had permission to talk about that or not, so...
Yeah,
just-
that's the kind of information that in this time period politically destroys you.
I just need you to just keep it very hush-hush, but I think that there's a reason why that Aggie is saying that she shouldn't be trusted because the Khan did make promises to us, and I made promises to her as well.
It's a good thing I wasn't party to that promise. We have, basically, I'm saying we have options if she does end up betraying your trust. Now, of course, I think you said you made a second promise to a bunch of people from there.
Matthew, you're gonna have to remind me.
Roll history.
Okay. my brain be on that.
Be like.
My brain be on that. Oh, okay. 18 plus 10, so 28.
Yes. You're groggy and emotional. It takes you a minute. But yes, you do recall that separately from the deal you had made with the Khan, the bandit lords of Minloose, who are a rank below her, were going to make a grab for power by outright allying with the Concord because she had been staying neutral. But yes, you swore an oath to the gods that Minlusians would not be brought to harm during this conflict, and if you have the power to prevent that harm, you must do so or be punished. But that's separate from the deal you made with the Khan herself, who just said, like, either take Toradana and I'll help you, or fail to take Toradana and I'm joining them for my own survival.
I basically promised that if I can control it, which there's a lot of things that are out of my control, which I'm learning to accept, if I can control it, no Malusians would be harmed. If I can control it.
Yeah.
I know you Tibetans are all about your loopholes.
Well, hopefully it won't come to it, as long as they don't involve themselves.
They said that they were going to be neutral for the most part, so I don't imagine we will be coming across them.
So
but even if we are attacked, we're not supposed to fight back.
Well,
at least I'm supposed to put myself in harm's way.
You have to prevent it. You have to be able to prevent it. If you are unable to prevent it, then basically it's something that can be
if it's out of my control, it's out of my control. That's all I'm saying.
Exactly. But
I was half tempted to have like a fucking rumble of thunder right then.
I'm going to assume that is I'm going to assume it would probably be best if you just didn't know about such things.
No, that's what?
Exactly. Is that the concern you wish to bring up?
Yes. But everything else I need to be on the ball of that because, obviously.
Well, this is certainly interesting news.
I'm sorry that you weren't there to be a part of that. I went out there to spy on Lucifer, and one thing led to another. Kind of happened.
Well, I had to take care. I had to come up with plans while I was gone to.
Oh, I mean, I didn't want to interrupt your coronation. It's so important. So I just dealt with that while you were doing your thing.
But is this concern with Queen Sun Dragon? Was it what you wish to talk about?
What's concern? She kind of does that shifty eye thing.
That the concern of relationships and stuff.
Oh, that concern. No, yeah. Don't tell anybody, please. Please.
Well, is that everything you had? I can.
Caleb, I need you to promise. I need you to promise me you're not gonna tell anyone.
I won't tell anyone. It wouldn't benefit me to cause problems with my ally right now, would it?
Swear it to me.
I swear to you, I won't say anything.
Would you swear on your parent? Your dead parents?
I swear. Besides, I'm not the one who has problems telling people things.
She kind of puts her hands up. I'm learning.
Imagine Zephyr in the tree just.
Do I hear him sniggering at me?
No. I imagine that happening.
That's all I needed to tell you.
We know you're trying to do better. Just like we're always trying to do better at things we don't do well.
Just remember, I'm here to help. We need to work together, not apart. That's what the number one thing that Lucifer told me that has stuck with me was that they know that we are dysfunctional at best. Which is why I think that he was following us for so long. If they think that we're falling apart, then maybe they think that they'll mess up or something. You know what I'm trying to say? I'm not a strategist or whatever, but it was just a thought.
I truly think that other than a few issues, I think overestimate just how divided we are. We disagree on things as individuals, but ultimately we are still here, still doing things. We haven't broken up yet. Obviously, our common goal is enough to keep us going.
I've almost left a couple dozen times, but I'm still here again.
Well, that's the point. We have issues as individuals, but we manage to... There's always that common goal that keeps us focused. Now, once that common goal is gone, there's no telling what happens with us after that. I mean, we may never want to see each other again for all I know, but...
Well, that's not...
Things could change. We could get through these issues and be even better. And then it wouldn't be a problem, but... I think for now, at least, our common goal seems to be stronger than our personal differences.
That is the case.
Alright. Any final business before you all tuck in for a long rest?
I guess without an invitation from Aggie, I guess we'll try to find some...
You're spotty.
Hello?
Yeah, better.
I guess if I don't get an invitation from Aggie, I'm assuming that she wants me to sleep on the couch or something. Do I hear from my love?
You do not. In fact, you don't even see her around the camp for a while.
I guess I'm gonna sleep in the tree by the tent. I did say I need to be familiar with it, so it's a good way to get to know the tree.
Yeah, sleep on the tree, learn the tree, be the tree.
Be the tree!
Alright. If there's no final business...
That sounds like that'd be an interesting aspect.
What's that?
Well, is there spells that you can make yourself into a tree?
Not to make yourself into... I mean, I guess you could polymorph, but I know there's one that can, like, meld you into it.
Well, I was like, if you could... I mean, if polymorph is allowing you to turn into a tree, could you turn yourself into a large enough tree to teleport with?
Okay, actually, I'm curious. I will check. I'm actually curious.
What did he ask?
I feel like this is a rabbit hole we need to fit for, later.
Yeah, I don't see anything that would indicate that isn't the case. So yes, and Caleb Oz was basically wondering, could you theoretically polymorph someone into a tree so that they could then be have transport via plants? Like basically, could you turn someone into a walking teleporter if you had someone who can cast transport via plants and then polymorph to turn a party member into a tree?
That is Interesting.
Polymorph's one of those spells where its mere inclusion in Dungeons and Dragons is like a rabbit hole by itself. The horror stories I've heard. Anyway, you all processing new information and items, slowly settling
probably
for
up-
rest.
I'll probably be up right until like I only need 4, so I'll
Yeah.
probably just space it
Mhm.
if I can't keep an eye on Aggie.
Yeah, she's gone.
Down.
You all get a long rest. It is now the start of Velet. Yavik summer is on its way. This is known as the month of winds. And windy indeed. Caleb, you are woken first by some kind of slightly panicked barks from the encampment. Not like urgent, like, oh shit, but more like complaints and like griping. And as you wake up, you quickly see why. You can see that while it has not reached your forest encampment, little flecks of it are starting to. You can see a sandstorm has kicked up in the desert nearby, and some sand and harsh winds are blowing into the forest and like coating the encampment in flecks of sand.
Well, that's not good.
Yeah, Goody, with like a longbow over his shoulder, kind of holding up a hand to his head to keep the sand out of his eyes, approaches you. Visibility's gonna be limited. It should calm down by tomorrow, but that's going to delay our scouting unless you want him to brace it.
I guess we don't have a choice.
All right, I'll let him know. Any other adjustments you want us to make?
I don't think there's any others we'll have to make, right?
Uh,
Just be careful on the patrols around the city.
Right. Still want us to go check out that camp?
If possible, yes. We need to know if they preoccupied it to any extent.
All right. I'll let him know. I'll call off the fetchers. The rest will go about it.
As soon as the sandstorm is in a position where they can go, I want those 50 to go as soon as possible.
Yes, Your Majesty. Understood.
Basically hold them, but keep them ready.
Yes, sir. And he stomps off to inform the troops. Looking around, Caleb, well, yeah, the sandstorm is aggravating and the wind is harsh. While it is limiting your visibility because of that just omnipresent cloud of sand, and you can see that the sand and wind are extinguishing campfires around the camp, it more seems to be irritating than directly harmful, at least right now. And Lucian, Zephyr, the two of you begin to awake, seeing the state the encampment is in. The Tebadrons, Sun Dragons, and Autumn Falls are basically trying to brace the camp against the storm. Is there anything anyone would like to do today? Day 1 of Velet.
Caleb will just be with the force that is going to scout. He'll be with like some of the groups that are scouting the city.
Okay. Zephyr, what are you doing? Caleb is going to head out to do some scouting. You can join him, or if you have something else you wish to do, you may.
I'll go check out the city.
All right. Do you wish to join Caleb, or you have your own plan?
I was kind of join Caleb, but probably like branch off my own path at a later point.
All right. So I guess like as I'm going, just let me know if you want to branch off at a certain point. Sound good?
Yeah.
All right. And Lucian, how about you? You see that Caleb is assembling a small militia of Tebadrons to scout out the city and surrounding territory, and to your shock, Zephyr scuttles down from his tree and actually falls in line. you wish to join them, or do you have your own plan?
I don't feel like I'm stealthy enough for that mission. I was actually going to speak with Autumnfall.
Okay. In that case, we'll do that before the force leaves, just in case you change your mind. If not, then yeah, they'll march and we'll swap between you. Lucian, scouring the encampment. Thankfully, Autumnfall is not hard to find. She is currently massively bitching out a Sun Dragon and Tibadran patrol that are struggling to get her tent secured against the storm. But as she kind of pinches the bridge of her nose, she turns to see you approach and kind of rolls her neck a bit as she looks at you. There you are. Do you need something?
I was actually about to ask you the same thing.
Unless you can change the weather, I'm afraid not.
Might be able to do something about that.
Oh, that would be ideal.
D&D Beyond. I swear to God. We just had a long rest, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I can go ahead and I can do. Let's see. This is 500 feet. How big? I know this is going to be a little bit of spitballing here, but how big is this, like, encampment?
The encampment itself is not massive.
Like 900 feet, maybe?
Yeah, it's definitely gonna be bigger than that.
Okay, well, I'm gonna do it centered on her, the biggest tent where he and Aggie and I have been sleeping.
Okay.
So, and then I head and control weather.
Okay.
I'll knock that off.
Lucian, you return to the command tent, and using your magic, begin to modify the weather. Caleb, Zephyr, you can see that the area immediately within the camp, the winds begin to die down. However, wind and sand from outside the spell's radius does still cut in periodically. But at the very least, the immediate area is calmer now. And several of the troops sigh in relief at the reprieve.
Yeah, I kind of like dust myself off and give Autumnfall a grin. See, easy peasy.
Oh, let's hope you can do more than change the weather.
Okay, what do you think?
She nods towards Caleb and Zephyr's assembled force. You said you want to help them by providing magical protection? I suggest you accompany them. I'd rather have all of you in one place, unless you think there's something around here you need to attend to.
She kind of has a guilty look on her face.
She
And
quirks a brow.
She can see Lucian looking around for a second. Do I see Aggie?
No.
She kind of looks down at the ground and kind of kicks the sand. Can I ask you a question?
I feel like you would regardless of my answer.
It's okay if you don't want me to. I don't have to.
Just ask the question.
Did I seriously fuck up?
Depends. What did you say?
I told her what I said.
She stares at you for a moment before giving a nod. Yes, incredibly so. In fact, I think the only thing you could have done worse is mess with her hair on top of all that.
I mean, I just patted her, but that's it.
She crosses her arms and closes her eyes. You get the impression that she's having that thing of just like, I did not sign up to be a therapist, before breathing deeply to compose herself and
Look,
putting a...
I'm new at this, okay? I'm sorry.
Look, she's just probably gone off into the forest to break some things and blow off steam. But she bites her lip in thought. There are things she's entrusted me with that I can't speak to you about. It's not my place. But you need to understand that your ideas of family aren't compatible. She had no family like yours. I won't go into details, but let's just say that the young queen sun dragon had to grow up far faster than a human has any right to. She's a caretaker, not someone who responds well to being taken care of. Any attempt you make at broaching your assistance to her is only going to offend her, at least not until she gets her head out of her ass. Pardon my Elvish. The point is, she wants to give help. She never wants to receive it. I was expecting some odd looks whenever I came with so few troops, but she seemed almost thrilled to be the biggest contributor to the Alliance. I suspect that's why she's not making an effort to... Anyway. If you want to make her feel better, just accept her help. You don't have to listen to her. She's not right about most things, frankly, but she needs to believe she's helping people. And I believe she is, in her own way.
I do too. There's nobody I believe in more than her right now. Other than the goddess, of course.
Have you told her that?
I told her that I loved her. Isn't that the same?
It is not. I love my family, but I learned the same lesson as her at a young age, and a lesson that you are learning now. Blood is poisonous. It carries expectations and weight that it has no right to. I know that's something you're struggling to understand, and I suspect until you figure that out yourself, it will be difficult for you to truly connect with her. She's taking care of you in the same way she took care of... She's taking care of you. That's not the same as love. Not the kind of love you're looking for. If you want that with her, you can't just take care of her or let her take care of you. You need to be equals. That much I understand. Even though I've never found anyone for myself. She kind of pouts a little bit.
How could we be equals when she's so much better? I don't deserve her.
The more you think that, the more that'll become true. Because I guarantee you she sees herself the same way. I know her well enough to say that for certain. So until both of you pull your respective heads out of where it doesn't belong, you're just going to keep wandering in circles around each other. Always orbiting, but never adjoined.
I don't even know what that. I don't even know what steps to take at this point. You know, I'm like you said, I'm learning.
Then focus on learning. She's responding to your flirtations because it makes you happy. Have you considered what she wants? What she needs?
Why else am I here?
She crosses her arms and just stares at you and just raises
I'm
an
here
eyebrow.
because you need me.
Would you have come if I called you?
Of course.
Then it's not the same. I've never had someone like that in my life, but
Neither have I. This is my
I do
first.
know that you're only going to be able to really love someone else if you learn to love yourself.
I don't think that's true. I think that's a stereotype.
She just shrugs. You came to me for advice and I gave it. You don't have to listen to it. But I know her. And I believe I'm beginning to know you. You can do this dance with her for the rest of your life, which, for you, is very considerable. Or, you can change. I can't imagine why you would, but that is an option presented to you, if you choose to take it.
I mean, why wouldn't I? I mean, isn't that what we're supposed to do? Change?
I thought that was a stereotype.
No. Loving yourself, not being able to love without loving yourself is a stereotype. Change is not a stereotype. Change is mandatory.
As you say. Are we done here, or is there another wall you'd like me to talk to?
She rolls her eyes.
I take my leave of you, Alefikir.
She heaves a sigh and goes and joins Caleb and Zephyr.
She watches you go with a kind of searching expression before passing an order to one of her sorcerers and heading off to the opposite side of camp. Caleb, Zephyr, you are joined by Lucian, and as the party and 100 Tebadrons prepare a scouting operation against the barbarous walls, as the sand and wind orbit just outside the range of Lucian's spell, you prepare for your first incursion against Toradana. And that is where we're going to end tonight's session.
Yep. I saw that coming.
Don't you always? There we are. Check out our website at officiald5hub.info. Down for maintenance at the moment, but soon to be resurrected from the grave like a filthy necromancer. I want to learn what love is! Check out our link in chat to join our official D5 Discord server if you want to hang out with us directly. Support our episodes, post on Apple Podcasts, Pandora, Google Podcasts, and the iHeart Podcast Network. Wherever you happen to get your podcast from, you can probably find it. For our audio listeners, catch us live on Tuesdays at 7 o'clock Central Daylight Time on twitch.tv/Odd Tornado Productions. Check out Odd Tornado Productions Official on Tumblr to find links to our other works, including our His Majesty's Twitch channel at twitch.tv/Killer5. That is 5 with a PH, don't get it wrong. And if you enjoy what we do, please support us on Patreon. That link we posted as well. On Ko-fi at ko-fi.com/Odd Tornado Productions. And follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/TornadoOdd. The TNO are capitalized if you want to get immediate updates whenever we go live, as well as updates on everything else we're doing. And if you want to see more of this party, plus or minus a few, tune in Mondays at 7 o'clock Central Daylight Time for our Monday game, Under Locks and Keys, featuring a party of globetrotting treasure hunters assembling the artifacts of the gods in a race against technology, worshipping cultists. Thanks everyone at the table so much for playing. Thanks everyone at home so much for watching. And we'll see you all next week.
Yeah.